Okay, so I've heard my teachers say time and time again, it's yoga practice, not yoga perfect. We all have areas of our body or maybe aspects of our mental practice that we feel like, man, we've got a long way to go. For me, it's in the hips. That's why I keep practicing. Now, I always like to have props. They help me to move deeper into alignment and proper alignment, which is going to help me in my practice as I move forward. You can always collapse into a posture in a weird way, but it's so important to protect your body so that you can keep practicing for years and years to come. So check this out. I've been practicing yoga, let's see, probably 15 years. If I sit in easy pose after driving in the car and working all day like I have, this is kind of what my easy pose looks like. So my crisscross applesauce, my knees are practically in my armpits. As you can see here, I am extraordinarily tight in my hips. This is when I'm going to start to bring in some props. From here, I really want to elevate my pelvis. When I'm sitting flat like this, because my hips are so tight, my pelvis is going to round forward, and that puts pressure on my low back. Here, I'm able to keep a nice erect posture. My pelvis is nice and forward, and my knees are able to relax a little bit down towards the ground. Now, before I would start any kind of hip opening practice, I would warm up with some sun salutations, and I suggest you would do that as well. It's nice to get your muscles warmed up and the body pumping through your body. The body pumping through your body? The blood pumping through your body. Okay, so here are some of my favorite hip openers. I'm going to start with Anjayanasana, which is a low lunge or half moon posture. And you can easily move into this from one of your flows. So with Anjayanasana, your back knee is on the ground. If your knee is sensitive, you can roll up your mat to give yourself a little more cushion. So your front foot is flat, your back foot is down. Your hips are square to the front of your mat. From here, sometimes I'll take a few little pulses in and out. What I'm doing here is I'm giving a little bit of compression in my front hip. So when I relieve that, fresh blood and oxygenated blood will come back into this joint. In my back hip here, in my left hip, I'm opening up my hip flexor, my iliopsoas, which is a huge ropey muscle that gets so tight from sitting all day, driving in the car. So coming in and out of that a few times. The full expression of the posture brings your arms overhead with a slight back bend. Again, allowing us to open the iliopsoas a little more, as its origin point is above the hip joint and it attaches below. So we're really stretching both ends of the muscle. Another beautiful hip opener is Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So unlike Warrior 1, when our hips are squared to the front of the mat, Warrior 2 opens up our pelvis and our hip posture. So we widen our stance a little bit and our back leg foot comes to a 90-degree angle. When we bend, we're using our gluteal muscles to open the pelvis here. So our knee is pushing towards the back wall and our pelvis and chest are opening up right ahead of us as we extend our arms and look forward for the full expression of the posture. Another beautiful lunging hip opener is lizard pose. So lizard pose, you can move in from a high lunge. So if we were in a high lunge position, you would heel toe your front foot a little wider and allow your hands to come down to the mat. From here, you want to drop your chest straight down towards the mat. Again, allowing that hip flexor to open. Keeping the back leg nice and strong, not falling into any of your joints. You're really going to feel the compression in this front hip and the opening in the back hip. As we move towards the ground, Ardha Matsyendrasana, or half fish pose, it's a nice spinal twist as well, is a great hip opener. So our bottom leg bends and our top leg comes right over it. Now, if you feel too tight or uncomfortable in this position, or if your pelvis isn't resting comfortably, both sides of it on the mat, you may want to let that bottom leg stay nice and straight. So here our top leg is bent, and we're going to just grab and bring some compression and elongation into our spine. Your back hand can be used as a kickstand to help keep your chest a little bit higher. As you inhale, you're going to elongate your spine, giving yourself some space, and as you exhale, you can twist a little further. Now, maybe everyone's favorite hip opening posture, and one that I see in so many vinyasa classes, is pigeon pose. And I love pigeon pose too, but I am so tight, and I can't just go right into it like a lot of my fellow students. This is where I bring both of my blocks into play. Pigeon pose is extremely important to be performed correctly. There's a lot of, when you have all of your body weight on your knee and on your hip, you want to make sure that you don't get injured, so you can practice for years and years to come. So our knee joint, right, is a hinge joint. Okay? It's got a little maybe side to side movement, but in no instance do we want our knee to be going that way. In pigeon posture, if I try and go into it without my blocks, you can see I can't go all the way down. And so here I'm really putting a lot of strain on my hip and on my knee. To help alleviate that and to help myself go deeper into the posture, I'm going to use a block under my hip and a block under my knee. That's going to protect my knee, protect my hip, and if you're tight enough, like me, protect your ankle too. So my hip goes right on top of that purple one, my knee comes right on top of the blue one, and now I can start to align my pelvis forward on the mat. There isn't any strain on my knee, there's no tweaking in my ankle, and as I start to feel comfortable with my shin nice and parallel to the front of the mat, I can let my chest fall forward. Maybe this is as far as I go today, or as far as I go all week, but eventually it starts to open and I allow myself to fall forward a little bit, resting. So we've done a lot to open the outside of the hips. From the seated position, I like to move into Baddha Konasana, or bound triangle posture. Now, this is going to start to open your inner thighs, your adductors. Again, just like in easy pose, I am really high off the ground with my knees. So one thing people can do is either use blocks to support yourself under your knee. That's going to let these muscles inside relax. It's going to give them the cue to say, hey, it's okay, you can let go. There's this block here. You don't have to keep pulling up. So that's one way you can use your blocks. If you're really rounded in your pelvis when you're sitting this way, so if you feel that your hips are rocking back kind of like this and you're not able to bring yourself into a nice upright posture, you may want to sit on the block like I did with easy pose. So from here, I'm able to get into a deeper stretch. I'm able to bring a little anterior tilt to my pelvis, right? So I have a nice upright spine. And from there, engaging my deep abdominal muscles, I can move forward holding my pelvis steady. I'm using my elbows just a little bit to provide a little pressure to my knees. Again, just helping my adductor muscles to relax. And finally, perhaps one of the most torturous adductor stretches or postures, and sometimes when you have such an aversion to a posture, it's one that you really need, so I tend to practice this one a lot, is frog pose. So frog pose puts a lot of pressure on the inside of the knees, not in a dangerous way, but if you're on a hardwood floor like me, I like to roll both sides of my mat up, just like that. So the inside or the medial surface of your knee is coming in contact with your mat. Your feet are turned out just like a little frog, and your pelvis stays above or in line with your knees. You don't want it coming back like this. This is pressure on your knees. We don't want that. If you're more open, your knees are going to go further away from each other, moving into kind of like a wide split position. So from here, this is maybe as far as you go. I already feel a huge stretch on the inside of my thighs. Slowly, as you begin to open, you can let your forearms come to the ground, maybe even your chest. Again, keeping those hips over the knee. It's super important to move in and out of this posture slowly. It's nice to practice it in a yin class where you can really hold it for a nice period of time. From here, often to ease myself out of it, I'll bring myself into a wide-legged Balasana or child's pose. Just letting myself rest, giving my hips a little bit of a break, but still giving them a bit of a stretch and coming up. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the hip opening exercises. In the blog, I'll write about each one of them so you can look back and see if you do have issues with your hips like me. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Namaste. My goodness, my little yoga assistant is here. Namaste.